Welcome to another edition of Anthony T's Horror Show. I'm Anthony T. In this edition, next segment, I will be joined by PJ Rahall of Throwdown Thursday as we talk about our top 10 films of 2025. I know it's way late, as I've been off for a couple months, pretty much. Been busy, going through some problems. That's why I've not been doing an episode in the last couple months. Usually around this time we would have the Horror Whammies and the Horror Show Awards. Well, this year it's going to be different, as I'm going to post the winners on the official Facebook page, which will go up a week after this episode airs. So I will make an announcement on the official Instagram and Facebook pages, so you can check out that announcement when it goes live. So I'll make you aware about that when I post it on Facebook, as I just don't have time to do an episode this year because, well, I tried doing one episode and it really had bad production, so it's best not trying to do another episode. It'll bog down the program, and plus I have other things to get to, which I will share at the end of the podcast. So there's that. When I come back, it'll be the best of 2025, as it's a long episode, literally. So that's going to take up the entire episode. Then after that, I'll be back with a couple potting thoughts and talk about next episode.
Welcome to Dark Discussions, your place for the discussion of horror film, fiction, and all that's fantastic. A weekly podcast where the discussion is about the most recent horror and genre films. Intelligent talk on a genre that deserves intelligence. A conversation between co-hosts discussing not only the films, but also the connotation that the directors and screenwriters are trying to articulate. When you want more than a review, listen to Dark Discussions.
And speaking of perception, there's just one more scene I want to talk about, which is after Caleb discovers that Kyoto's a robot. Kyoto kind of peels off her skin, showing him what's underneath.
Now, wait a minute. I know where you're going with this, but tell me you weren't already thinking this 15 minutes earlier in the film. Exactly what he's thinking at that moment.
Which is he's a robot, too.
Oh, I considered the possibility.
Right, and that's what I like, is the fact that the writers were smart enough to know that this is what the audience would be thinking.
We've all seen Blade Runner.
Right, exactly.
www.darkdiscussions.com, wherever podcasts are found.
Every day there's a family struggling with hospital bills to care for their sick child who is fighting an illness. There's a woman who is fighting breast cancer and is having trouble making ends meet while paying for their treatment. And there are burn victims that are going through treatments to heal their deep wounds. There is a charity in the horror community that helps these people. Scares That Care is an organization that helps families deal with the bills for their child. They help women get the treatment they need to fight breast cancer, and they help people who are dealing with severe burns get the help they need to heal. Scares That Care is a 100% volunteer organization and 501c3 nonprofit charity that is dedicated to helping these people in fighting real monsters. To find out more information or to donate to Scares That Care, you can go to www.scaresthatcare.org. Every donation helps Scares That Care fight real monsters. Welcome back. I'm here with PJ Rahall again. You may remember him. He was on the show for the Halloween episode a couple episodes back. He's back here with me to talk about the top 10 films of 2025. And I did forget to mention you are also on the Throwdown Thursday podcast. How are you doing today, PJ?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for this. This is always a fun time. I always enjoy chatting with you about horror stuff. We just spent half an hour talking about stuff before we even got into the actual, like, hey, we should probably start saving some of this for the show.
Yeah, mine. It's like if we were stuff we were chatting, we probably could chat for another hour, literally.
Oh, easy.
But we have to get to business, everyone. We're both decked out in Ice Nine Kills gear.
Yep,
ready to do this. So
I'm always ready to talk horror with you.
Before we get into our list, I always like to ask a couple of questions. Now, first question, most disappointing film of the year. PJ, I'll start with you.
I actually have two on this list. The first one is Weapons. And I don't know what your policy is about spoilers on this show, but
spoiler alert.
Okay. So that's your warning. The thing that bothered me probably the most about this movie was the fact that the opening narration, and they did this in the trailer, is like, oh yeah, 2:17, these kids got up and they left their house and they were never seen again, which was a fucking lie. Complete and total lie. That's fraudulent advertising. Terrible. Also, I hated, and I know some people like this, but I absolutely hated the complete tonal shift at the end of this movie, where it goes supernatural horror to slapstick comedy. Like it was a Three Stooges routine for the last 20 minutes of this movie, and I hated it. Also, one of my biggest pet peeves in horror is when the plot only advances because everyone is an idiot and does stupid things that no normal people would do in real life. Like the fact that people like, oh, this kid is walking back and forth to school and also buying 60 cans of soup a day. That doesn't raise any red flags with us. Also, if you drive by the house, all the windows are covered with newspaper. Speaking of newspaper, there's about a dozen of them in the yard, just in the driveway. The mailbox is overflowing. Does no one in this neighborhood pay attention to anything? Also, you have all these kids that go missing, so you'd think that neighborhoods would be hyper vigilant. But no, the teacher can sit there, park her car. It's like, hey, that car doesn't belong here. I should see what's going on. Nope. Let her park there for 36 hours straight on multiple occasions. Nobody looks into it. Nobody has an issue with it. But it just happens to be facing the one house where the one kid who didn't disappear is living. None of that raised a red flag with anybody. So, yeah, that bothered me. The other one was Death of a Unicorn. I thought that was going to be so good and so fun, and it was neither of those things. So disappointing. Those are my two most disappointing films of 2025.
I'll agree with you with Death on a Unicorn, because I literally thought it was going to be a good film considering the talent and considering it played South by Southwest. Oh, it's probably going to be a good film since it played at South by Southwest. Nope. All these characters were annoying. Even your main characters. Why? And it's not the first film that had annoying characters. It's not even my worst film of the year. And it's even a worse film that had even more annoying characters.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
My most disappointing film, Fear Street Prom Night.
I didn't see that one.
It was on Netflix. Considering the first three Fear Street films being great films, that whole trilogy of films, Prom Night, Prom Queen, one of the two, That film was just flat out awful. It was like Netflix didn't even care. It's like, here's our big property, Fear Street. Why should we care about putting any more good movies since we now have a fan base that will go see those movies after those 3 great films?
Do you know what I think the problem was? And this connects directly to the latest season of Stranger Things. Lee Janiak, who directed and was a writer on Stranger Things for the first 4 seasons, was married to one of the Duffer brothers. So she wrote and directed all the Fear Street stuff. She did not do this most recent one. She was also, because of the divorce, not involved whatsoever with the latest season of Stranger Things. And a lot of people had an issue. We're like, wow, these characters are behaving totally different. Wow, this season is pretty bad. Why? What's going on? What happened here? What was with the drop off of quality? Well, when you replace your best writer, that tends to happen with your project.
They could have used that for this film, literally, because this film...
She crushed it with the first 3.
Yeah, she crushed it with the first 3. I don't think she was near this film at all. And it's like a bunch of one-dimensional characters. That's what that film felt like. It felt like a paint-by-the-numbers slasher film that a 5-year-old could write. Or a 13-year-old could write. And it's just such a disgrace that Netflix doesn't seem to treat that property with respect anymore. It's now a cash cow to them. Or a streaming numbers cow to them. One of the two. And it's just sad.
Well, I mean, and that's what happens when you have something that has a recognizable, and we're going to get into this with my worst film, one of my 3 worst films. Just because a brand is recognizable doesn't mean that the films are quality, but they're going to keep making them because they keep making money. No matter how many times people say, wow, this is awful, I don't want to watch this anymore. But then it goes and makes $1 billion. So they're like, clearly people want more of this. Let's make another terrible one of these.
Okay, worst film of the year.
All right, so again, I have 3, and just to touch on the one I was just referring to, Jurassic Park Rebirth. One of the worst movies I saw all year. It wasn't good. It was not good. It was some rehashing of the first movie. Another spoiler alert for the opening of that film. How is it that a candy bar shuts down your entire super sophisticated security system? Why would you be eating a candy bar in a clean room? Why would you drop that wrapper on the ground? Why would it get sucked into a vent that's in a door? Why would that vent on that door, short circuit your entire dinosaur mutant containment system? That made no sense to me. Also, they took a lot of the stuff that was good in the first movie or the first couple of movies and tried to rehash it, like the raptor scene in the kitchen from the original movie. They just recreated that in a convenience store. They recreated the flare scene. They recreated the rafting scene with probably the most durable raft that has ever been created by mankind, because it can get chewed on by a T-Rex and not pop. Also, the T-Rex can teleport like Jason Voorhees. This was a terrible movie. It was so bad. The characters all were just dumb and did stupid things. And you know what I love in my giant dinosaur rampage movies? I just want to cut away from the giant dinosaur rampage and focus on a guy going on a trip across the ocean in a small boat with his 2 daughters and the oldest daughter's annoying boyfriend. I really want to focus on those people for a while, because I really am interested in some random guy and the boyfriend of his daughter that he just cannot stand. I want to focus on him for a while because I don't want any dinosaurs in my dinosaur rampage movie. It's like, why are we focusing? That's two separate films. I don't care about these people. Terrible. Also, Novocaine. I know it's not technically a horror movie, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. So if you haven't seen Novocaine or Nepotism,
I've seen it. I liked it.
It had Jack Quaid. It had
Quaid.
And it had Jack Nicholson's kid. So Nepotism, the movie. All they were missing was Wyatt Russell and what's her name from Alien Earth? Pullman. Anyways, he has a real condition, inability to feel pain. That's great. But apparently they didn't quite understand, because you cannot feel that your hands are crushed, that the bones in your hands are crushed. I can understand that. Like that's part of SEPA. But you can't also, oh, my hands are crushed, but I can still form fists and I can still grab things. Oh, my legs are shattered. My tibia, my fibula, and my femur are dust, but I can still get up and run because I can't feel pain. No, you can't move. You can't run. You're not going to be able to move around. So no, that's number 2 movie of the year. I thought about putting this into disappointing, but this was disappointing and bad together. I was looking forward to this one. It looked really cool. I love body horror. I was very interested in this concept. As I was leaving the theater, I'm looking at my wife. We're talking about it. And I was like, man, I can't believe how these two lead. Like, did they just meet on the first day of filming? They have zero chemistry between them. None. She goes, they've been married for over 10 years in real life. And I was like, what? How do you have no chemistry with the person you're married to for real? This is another one of those. The plot only moves forward because the writing is bad and the people are stupid. So the big event that drives the plot forward is they're in the woods and there's this church that collapsed and got overtaken by nature. And James Franco's brother falls into it. And he's like
Dave
hanging
Franco.
on to the edge. Dave. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. And I don't even care. And he's like, oh, help me. I'm falling in this hole. And his wife's like, don't worry. I'll help you. And then she tumbles into the hole after him. Because they're walking in the woods and they're like, oh, my GPS doesn't work. I don't know which way home is. And it's raining. I don't know where we're going to go. We're lost in the woods. Oh, how do we get out of here? And they fall into the hole. And they're like, we could climb out of this hole easily because we'll do so in the morning with zero difficulty. But let's not even attempt that right now. Let's just stay in this hole because that's going to be better than trying to walk home. They're like, oh, I wish we had some water. Well, I have 2 empty wine bottles for some reason. Should we fill those with the rainwater that's dripping in? No, there's some weird cave anus that's formed with all these weird roots that go into a little pool of water. Let's drink out of that. That looks like it's a something safe to drink. That's like, what? It looks like the cave in Last Jedi where all the dark side energy goes. It's this weird Lovecraftian anus in the middle of a cave in a collapsed church with all this really weird iconography on the wall. And they're like, yeah, let's drink out of that and let's stay here. And then the next morning they get up, they climb right out and find their way home. How? Never explained. They don't know how they're getting home. Their phones don't work. The GPS wasn't helpful because Dave Franco's like, well, I know which way north is. And she's like, how does that help us? He's like, I don't know, but this way is north. Thanks, Dave Franco. Super helpful of you. And the whole time, all this weird stuff keeps happening between the two of them. And she just keeps denying that it's real. Like, you were levitating last night. You smashed up against the door and went up into the air. Your feet were off the ground. It's like, no, it's probably just something I ate. Like, I don't know. There's nothing weird happening. Then, like, they're sleeping in opposite ends of the house. And, like, while they're sleeping, their bodies, they just slide. They're not walking. They're not crawling. They just slide across the room and, like, start smushing together. But somehow that also doesn't raise any red flags. They shouldn't see a doctor. Nothing wrong with that. It's the whole movie relies on them being stupid and bad writing. So that's my rant about Together. Together, worst movie of the year for me.
You get my thoughts on that very soon. I can guarantee you, you will get my thoughts on that very soon, but not now. As my worst film of the year. Now, this is a film that should have been a really good film. Literally. This film had a killer mask. Once you see the marketing and once you see the mask, you're going to think to yourself that this is going to be a killer slasher film. Wrong. I think you know what I'm talking about. Hot Eyes.
I haven't seen that one, but you know, you could have just as easily have been describing In a Violent Nature.
That was last year.
I know.
But that film was just flat out awful from start to finish. Both main characters were very annoying. Olivia Holt, Mason Gooding, both annoying. It's like this whole relationship was a comedic subplot. Literally. It's like, you're marketing a slasher film to me, not a comedic romantic comedy. Please. I want to see some violence. Instead, all this comedy and their awkwardness towards each other and their chemistry really ruins what action this film has. Because this film has a killer mask. If you've seen the mask for Hot Eyes, you would think it'd be a straight-up slasher film. It just isn't.
Good.
I don't know why we needed to do a comedy horror film. This did not need to be a comedy romantic horror film, ladies and gentlemen. Thankfully, I saw this on Netflix. Because if I owned this film, I would have been so pissed off, literally. Of course, honorable mentions go to Death of a Unicorn and Drop, which is a very rare misfire for Christopher Landon, as that was like 90 minutes of boredom. Will she or will she not kill the guy in order to save her family? Ugh. It's like, that film should have been better considering Christopher Landon was involved in it. And usually his films are good. I think he did Freaky, Happy Death Day to You films.
Okay.
His films are usually good. He even did Paranormal Activity, the mocked ones.
There are like 150 of those.
I don't know, but that I think was the last really good Paranormal Activity film. The mocked ones. He was supposed to direct Scream 7 until he dropped out, which we may or may not talk about afterwards. But back to what was my overall worst film, it was definitely Hot Eyes. Hot Eyes, whatever. Whatever it is. It was flat out awful. It ruined a great chance at being a horror franchise, considering the mask it had. It had a mask where you can be generally frightened of. But instead, we have to play...
It's so hard to get a good horror mask now.
Yeah, that was a good horror mask. They just ruined the film with its comedy and the ineptness of its lead character. Enough with the worst. Let's get to the top 10 of 2025. What was your number 10 film?
All right, number 10. Now, these were all good. I want to put a disclaimer on it. Like, I enjoyed all of these, and it was very difficult to put them into a 1 through 10 because a lot of these could have been number 1 and a lot of these could have been number 10. Number 10 is Companion. Again, another Jack Quaid film, but there were a couple of things where I kind of, it was telegraphed. If you've seen horror movies, like looking at it, I was like, yeah, someone's going to get killed with that wine cork thingy. Someone's going to get killed with that. And I was right. It was an interesting twist on the crazy AI, because it was also a heist film. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I enjoyed it. It was a good time. It wasn't my favorite. It had just enough in it to be to keep it out of my my disappointing. But I loved Harvey Guillen. He was so good. He might have been my favorite part of that whole movie. And there was some genuine, like, anxiety-inducing moments when you're trying to figure out what exactly is going to happen and how things are going to sort of shake out. Yeah, that's my number 10. I liked it a lot.
That film was like outside my top 15 of the year. But it was a really good film, I have to admit. As I really love Jack Quaid as an actor. I think he's
good.
Grown. I think he's grown from Scream. When we first saw him in a major role. He's really grown from there as an actor and gotten away from his father a bit.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing them together in a film, though.
Yeah, him and Dennis Quaid, it would be a good thing to see. Seriously. My number 10 film, and it's one of your favorite films of the year. It's guaranteed to be one of your favorite films of the year. And you've already talked about it together. I told you I was talking.
That's why they make chocolate and vanilla.
Now, one of the things I liked about this film was the direction of this film. Michael Shank does a very good job with the way he directs the performances. The action had an engaging tone. It had some really good disturbing moments. The film had really good performances from Alison Brie and Dave Franco. I know you didn't like the chemistry. I thought their chemistry was very good. I thought they were good, seriously. Because
as somebody who acts with their wife, I can say that we've had way more chemistry. We had more chemistry in her first movie where I talked about Andre the Giant taking a shit on an airplane than they had throughout this entire film.
Well, also, I really love the grotesque effects in this film.
The effects were glorious. You didn't hear me complain about the effects.
Especially near towards the end of it, where it starts to get really crazy. I also love the psychological aspects of the film. And I also love the way they did the romantic and body horror aspects as well. It made it for a very good film. And that's why together it's my number 10.
All right.
Number 9.
Number 9 is not straight horror. There's a couple on here that are not straight horror. But this is one that I was looking for. It does have horror in it. There's a lot of horror elements. This is one that I was looking forward to for a while because it has a really good cast, including somebody who was not considered to be that good of an actor because of the films that he was in. But I really like Robert Pattinson. My number 9 is Mickey 17. I liked this one a lot. A lot of sci-fi horror. Mark Ruffalo as the bumbling buffoon of a dictator-like character. Stephen Yeun. Like, there wasn't anything about this I didn't like. I loved the characters. I loved the creatures, the creature designs, the effects. There's one thing I didn't like, and it was Robert Pattinson's accent and voice. It was a weird voice that he was affecting throughout the entire movie. I didn't care for that, but everything else, the concept was awesome. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should.
Now, moving on to number 9. This is the first of 2 horror documentaries on my list. As I don't think I've ever had 2 horror documentaries in my top 10. This was the first year this has happened. The number 9 film is George A. Romero's Resident Evil.
Ooh.
I like this documentary, as this really does a great job going into the detail of the field George A. Romero's version of Resident Evil. It makes the case of what Resident Evil could have been, as it could have been literally totally different if George A. Romero was given creative freedom and directed the film. The film features interviews from Romero biographers, historians, and people close to the video game as it dives into the person and his filmography while going into the Resident Evil franchise as a game. The whole Biohazard 2 trailer in which Romero directs, and the trouble he had in getting his vision of Resident Evil onto the big screen to a point that he was willing to be fired, literally. Then sell out.
Disrespect the man who revolutionized the zombie genre.
It's a very compelling look at the politics of video game properties versus creative vision. And that's why I chose George A. Romero's Resident Evil as part of my top 10 list at number 9. It's just a great documentary. One of 2 documentaries on my list.
I'm gonna write down what I think the second one is, and I'm gonna see if I'm right when you get to it.
Okay, it's gonna be a while.
I think it's one that's on my list. I haven't had a chance to see yet, but I think it's. I think I know what it might be.
All right, your number 8 film.
This is one that I've been waiting to see on the big screen. Actually, one that I hoped I could have adapted myself. If I could have adapted any Stephen King story, it would have been The Long Walk. It's such a simple concept, but it's so brutal. They did change the ending a little bit. I was fine with the ending. I think it could have gone a little bit differently, but I was very happy with it. I liked it a lot. It's really one of those things. It's if you haven't read the story, it's my favorite King story. And it's just you just walk, you and 99 other guys. In the movie, it's only 50 total, but it's you and 99 other people, and you just walk until you can't walk anymore. And then when you can't walk, it's like, if you win, you get anything you want for the rest of your life, but if you lose, you're dead. And some of these kids go in terrible, terrible ways. But there's also the interpersonal relationships between all the different walkers and these. Oh, it's so good. And I didn't realize it at first, but the first kid who dies is the dude from Jojo Rabbit. Like, I had no idea that was him. I was like, man, that kid looks familiar. Who is that? Jojo Rabbit. And the one of the 2 main characters is his name's escaping me, but he's the dude who played Andy in Alien Romulus. So like the main crew, the main cast of like the main kids that they had all did excellent jobs. I was very, very happy with it. I thought it was a good adaptation, way better than The Running Man, but we're not talking about The Running Man.
Let's not start with The Running Man. I've seen it twice already.
Oh, that's 2 more times than is necessary.
Oh, I had to see it once with my father.
I watched that. My wife had never seen the original, so we watched the original before we went to go see this one. I was like, what do you think? She goes, those aren't even the same goddamn movie.
Yeah, they're not the same movies. That's a guarantee. I'm with you on that.
Wow,
the same movies.
Zero. Oh,
and Killian's a different character in both films.
Oh, yeah. You get Richard Dawson, game show host, That'd be like having Alex Trebek instead of Josh Brolin. Yeah, I didn't know.
Even
It's
Josh
not on
Brolin was.
Why? We're spending too much time talking about this. It's not on either of our lists.
Yeah, it's not on my list neither.
What's number 8 for you, dude?
Now, this is might be a shocker, but this is from a long-running franchise that's experienced a resurrection lately. Never did I think one of these films would ever pop up on my list. Given the list of directors for this anthology, I'm talking about the VHS franchise, first of all.
Interesting.
And the film is VHS Halloween. Now, this is with the exception of Paco Plaza from the Record trilogy, everybody else felt unknown. And one of the things that I think made it so good was the fact that you had very hungry filmmakers in this film doing their own stuff. You have pretty much the most craziest segment in the history of the franchise, or you can call it interlude in the franchise. It could go both ways with Diet Phantasma, which feels like a gonzo film with all these guys experimenting on a diet soda and people keep exploding. That's just so gonzo. Then you get the most disturbing segment in the franchise with Kid Print, directed by Alex Ross Perry, who's most notably known for the Ghost concert movie Right Here, Right Now. That was very disturbing and really took this film through a very dark place, which you don't see in a lot of these VHS films. And I'm surprised they allowed it, but still, it was good to have it because it had that chilling and disturbing feel right smacked in the middle of all the craziness with all these segments going on. Fun size, it's not another gonzo segment. And you also have, the last segment also was very good with the haunted house. And it had a Rick Baker cameo in that one, which was surprising.
I love Rick Baker.
He makes a quick cameo, doesn't last long in the segment.
I mean, the guy's got to be in his 80s.
Yeah, but he does not last long. I don't mean like here's that one screen, here's that one 10 seconds in that. He literally has his character killed off in the segment. And in that's also a crazy segment. A lot of crazy segments in this film. And that's why I think between the crazy segments and the disturbing segments, it really helps this film balance out into one really great anthology film.
I love
and probably the best in the VHS franchise since coming back with VHS 94. As it's a very good film. It's on Shudder. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of anthology horror.
Which I am.
Yeah, and it's like the VHS franchise has been on a run lately, ever since going to Shudder, I think, personally.
Shudder is where you're going to get the better horror directors. Like, you want to give these types of anthology films to the directors who are going to care enough about them to tell you a good story.
Yeah, especially one like Kid Print, where I don't think any studio would put that on the big screen because it's just so disturbing, literally, and chilling.
And I think you need to have a horror director kind of push the boundaries sometimes with making their audience uncomfortable.
And that, if there's one thing that I want to took away from this film is, I want to see Alex Ross Perry direct more horror stuff. Because Kid Print is just so disturbing. I want to see what he can do with an 80, 90-minute film. I want to see how disturbing he can get with an 80, 90-minute film. And it's one of many disturbing things on my list this year. And it's this year seemed like there's a lot of really good disturbing horror out there.
I'll agree with that.
You can throw it together in that list. And there's other films that are coming that are disturbing.
I also would throw into the ring. I didn't add them on here because I didn't want to sound like a pretentious jerk. But I saw a lot of really good films at a bunch of the different film festivals that I went to throughout the year. You know, between Dead of Winter and Strange Maynard and Happenstance and Shauna Shea and Mass Independent and the one in Framingham, Access Film Fest, Valkyrie Film Fest in Buffalo. Same with Amazing Fantasy Horror. I think it's Amazing Fantasy Horror Fest, also in Buffalo, run by the same family of folks who does Valkyrie.
Would that be Greg Lambertson?
Yes, the Lambertsons. Yes. My wife's film, Multi-Level Massacre, played at both. She actually won. She was up for Best Comedy and Best Horror for one film at Valkyrie. She ended up winning Best Comedy. But there's a lot of really, really good stuff from the independent scene that if you're one of these folks like Anthony and myself who are really looking for original, fun horror ideas, whether it's comedy or something like disturbing, something weird, your local film festivals are going to have it. I just watched one that got submitted to Dead of Winter, and it's got puppets, and it's it's wild. I don't want to say too much more, but it's a crazy idea and not anything I've ever seen before. So if that's what you're looking for, that's where to find it.
Now, you know how I know about Greg Lambertson because he directed Slime City, which is a film people should definitely check out. It's very good. Yes. It's very Gonzo-like.
He did a werewolf feature called Frenzy Moon that we got to see at Amazing Fantasy.
Ah, so he's still making films. That's good.
Yep. Really, I enjoyed that one a lot. That one was fun. Oh yes.
Fingers crossed he gets distribution for that one.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what are we on? 7?
I believe we're on. Let me see. 10.
Yeah, because I just did the long walk. All right. So my number 7. Again, this is in no way a commentary on whether, I thought this one was better than that one or like this was a bad movie. But I really liked this one. I really liked what I referred to as the Rube Goldberg horror. When you have like those machines where this thing knocks that thing down. And it was very Final Destination-ish on some of these kills. But another Stephen King adaptation, The Monkey. I had a really good time with this one. Very enjoyable. I liked Adam Scott and Tatiana Maslany. And, what's his name was in it too? Oz Perkins had a cameo, which was just wild to me. But yeah, The Monkey, that one was a lot of fun. Good gore, good kills, pretty good story. Elijah Wood is such a douchebag. He's like this self-help CrossFit, like just like your neighbor that's like way too into supplements. Like, oh yeah. So it's so much fun. I don't know if it's on your list, but I'm sure you saw it. But yeah, the Monkey is it's a ton of fun. I enjoy it quite a bit.
I missed it. Literally.
I think you'd
had
like
the
it.
Blu-ray and I didn't see it.
You have the Blu-ray. You can watch it.
It's like the second time where I had an Os Perkins film on Blu-ray, and I didn't see it that year. I just don't know what's going on. Seriously, it's just that probably not too much time on my hands.
You know what? You still got time to watch it. I think you would.
I still have it, so I'll probably watch it eventually.
You can watch it anytime you want. You get in on that.
My number 7 is a guy who can do no wrong with the Predator franchise, Dan Trachtenberg. I think this guy was made to do this franchise because literally he's done it again with Predator Badlands. How he did it again with pretty much mostly the same formula as Prey, it's just amazing.
I loved this. This is my number 6, so I'll jump in and talk.
Okay, we can jump in. Yeah, why not? One of the things I really liked about it was the fact that instead of having like the native language in Prey, you're getting the story told to a predator in his language.
Yes, the Yautja language.
I like how he's focused on different languages here in his 2 Predator films, mainly. And even maybe the animated one, too, to a degree.
Well, in this one, like, they came up with, like, they created a whole language. Like, the guy who came in and did the Yautja language is the same guy who created the language for the Na'vi in Avatar. Like, that's what this guy does. He also, I think... I believe he created the Dothraki language for Game of Thrones. So, like, that's what this dude does. He creates, like, sci-fi languages, like fantasy languages, and puts them on screen. And, like, just, it's so cool. Like, that's such a great aspect.
It's so cool, but to also have that Predator as your main character.
No humans.
No humans in this film. Just cyborgs.
No humans in the
humans
for the first time in a Predator film. No humans whatsoever. It's all androids and predators.
It's like it's amazing, and it works. I never thought that would work, but it did.
Now, I was going to say, I talked earlier about like some of the stuff that Jurassic Park ripped off some of the earlier Jurassic Park stuff. But Predator Badlands does the same type of thing. Like at the end when Deck is getting all like the environmental stuff, like the razor grass and like the little like worms that spit acid and shit. Like, and he's getting all that stuff together in order to fight. It's the same thing Dutch did to fight the Predators, the Predator in the original film. And then you have the Predator versus the giant power loader. Like, it's homage, but it's not a ripoff. Like, it was done so well.
It's probably the best Alien versus Predator film.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's not an Alien film.
I did hear rumors that Fede Alvarez and Dan Trachtenberg are going to collaborate on Alien vs. Predator 3.
That might work. If that comes true, that might be a match made in heaven.
Oh my God! Like, yes,
2 very competent people. Seriously, Freddy with Aliens, Dan Trachtenberg with Predator.
Yeah, like
that could be the most anticipated film if that happens. Seriously,
that's
literally.
That's my number 6. Your number 7, my number 6. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is an independent horror film. Now, this was released via Doppelganger Releasing, who in return released this film on a boutique label called TerrorVision. Have you ever heard of TerrorVision Records?
I've only heard of the film.
Now, this is like a new kind of label that's been around for like 2-3 years. And it's had some rarity horror films from the 90s, 80s. But they seem like a label that you should be keeping your eye on. Because I know upcoming they'll have a release of Student Bodies.
Okay.
Which is the 80s comedy horror film that predated Scary Movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that they are starting to license titles from Paramount, so keep an eye out for them. Now, the film I'm talking about is Invader. And this is like, I'm surprised you did not know this film. This is directed by Mickey Keating.
Yeah, I'm not.
Have you heard of Mickey Keating?
The name sounds familiar, but I couldn't.
I think he did a documentary. Room 237.
The Shining documentary.
The Shining documentary. Yeah. Yes. Mickey Keating. Yep. The Shining documentary. I think that was the one he did. I'm pretty sure, but I'm
double did Carnage Park.
Yeah, but anyway, this is a very terrifying 68-minute film. As this is just pure terror from start to finish. It stars Joe Swansburg, who you may know from You're Next. And it was a really great film.
Yep. I'll have to check that one out.
I don't think he did. I made a mistake. He didn't do this Shining documentary. I'm looking at his IMDb. I might have gotten mixed up with another person, but
it happens. But yeah, he's done a lot of this like type of horror, like Pod, Carnage Park.
Yeah, but yeah. So I thought he did the Shining documentary. I was wrong.
All right, we all make mistakes. That's why pencils have erasers.
Then it'll be one of my bloopers on my show. What else is new?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Now, one of the things I loved about this film is heavily done in Spanish, meaning the dialogue was written in Spanish, most of it, for an American film. As this is about a woman visiting her sister, only when she arrived late at a bus station, the sister wasn't there. And it starts to get very disturbing. Very disturbing first 10 minutes with her in the bus station being stalked by somebody. Not the main protagonist, but in general. Then she tries to look for her sister. Then once finding her sister, things get very weird in a hurry. As you have this killer who's like dressed in like a latex suit and a mask. It was like very disturbing, like more like a psychopath. But what Keaton does very well is he makes sure it's presented in a way that it's not expected in an American film in terms of dialogue and pacing. As it adds to the tension of the story, I think, by doing most of the dialogue in Spanish. The other thing I like about Keaton's direction was the fact that everything in this film felt uneasy and disturbing. Literally every minute of this film. Even this woman's journey in finding her sister felt kind of disturbing, having to deal with her boss. Not sure if she trusts a co-worker of hers. It just, everything had this disturbing feel to it. And once it gets to the last third of this film, it does a great job keeping you on edge. And that's why I think makes Invader very good. It also has very good performances by Joe Swansburg as the villain Invader and the lead actress in the film, whose name I don't have at the moment, but and I do apologize. But I really highly recommend you check that film out for the performances and definitely for the story of this film.
Awesome. My 5, ties into my number 6. Number 5 is Predator, Killer of Killers. Another amazing Dan Trachtenberg film. Actually, fun fact, Dan Trachtenberg was supposed to direct an episode of Stranger Things in season 5. However, because he was making 2 Predator movies that came out 3 months apart from each other, one of them being animated, he was not able to do so. However, because he dropped out and he felt bad, he reached out to the Duffer Brothers, who did the voice of Deck's ship in Predator Badlands. So the voice of the ship, speaking in the Yautja language, is actually the Duffer Brothers who created Stranger Things. Fun fact. Now, when I watched Predator Killer of Killers, I watched it with my wife, who is, try not to be too jealous, people in the audience, but my wife's a huge Predator fan. It's awesome. She's also a huge Alien fan. So we watched all of Alien Earth. We watched all the Predator films, and it's the best. The thing that I liked about Killer of Killers is the end scene where they show the thousands of cryo tubes that they have of everybody who's defeated a predator. And as you're walking by, you get to see Naru from Prey. However, about a week or so later, after this movie dropped on Hulu, because it was only streaming, they added a little bit more to the end of this movie. For San Diego Comic-Con, they added an extended scene of that pod shot, and right next to Naru was Mike Harrigan and Alan Dutch Schaefer from Predator 2 and Predator 1, respectively. So Danny Glover's character and Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. The other thing that I really, really liked about this, and not everybody may count this, but I count it, coming into this film, there have been 2 men who have been killed by an alien, a predator, and a Terminator. Lance Henriksen and Bill Paxton. After this film, there is a third, Michael Biehn. Michael Biehn plays an Air Force officer who gets blown up by a predator, which means he gets killed by a Terminator in Terminator 1, Alien in Aliens, and Predator in now Killer of Killers. So he joins a super exclusive club, now one of 3 men to be killed by an alien, a predator, and a Terminator. So goddamn cool. That's something I would want on my resume. But that being said, the thing I love about this is it shows the mythology of the Yautja, and Trachtenberg really, really is a huge fan. He goes into the novels, the comics, the video games, and really dives deep into who this species is. You have Vikings fighting a predator, and then you have samurai fighting predator. Then you have Predator versus World War II fighter pilots. It's so awesome to show them in different eras with different technology used to defeat them. It's awesome. And his stuff's also super bloody, super just gory and violent, and everything you would want a Predator film to be. So I'm here for it. I'll take 50 more Predator movies from Dan Trachtenberg. I don't care if it's Alien versus Predator and they are playing Connect 4. I will watch that movie. I don't care if it's Alien versus Predator with a Space Jam crossover where it's a one-on-one basketball game to decide who gets to hunt humans forever. I don't care. Give me that all day long. Anything from Dan Trachtenberg when it comes to the Predator.
My first thoughts after hearing you say that is that guy needs a convention agent. The guy who because you can probably go on the COD scene now. Now, since you've been killed by a Terminator, an alien, and a Predator. Lance is on the COD scene.
Yep.
And when I went to one of his panels a couple years ago, the guy's a riot. And you would not think that. You would think he'd be more soft-spoken, well-mannered. But man, that Lance Henriksen is just has that Lloyd Kaufman vibe to him. It's amazing.
I was at a con with him there, and my wife and I were talking with Kane Hodder, who was a booth over, and these obnoxious podcast jerks came over with their camera and like completely interrupted the conversation we were having with Kane Hodder. Like we weren't even there. And they're like, yeah, we're going to do this interview with Kane Hodder. And then when we're done, we're going to go interview Lance Hendricks. And Kane Hodder goes, who? They're like, Lance Hendricks, that guy right there. Kane looks at me and goes, you want to tell him? And I look at these jerks and I go, how dare you disrespect one of the two men killed by an alien predator and Terminator by not even knowing his name? And Kane looks at me and goes, is that true? I go, yeah. Who's the other one? Bill Paxton. Then he looks over at Lance, looks back at me, goes, do you think he knows? I'm like, pretty sure he knows. He's like, I'm going to go ask him. And he gets up, completely blowing off the podcast jerks, goes over and like photo bombs this like young kid getting his picture taken with Lance Henriksen. And the person taking the picture is like, hey, you get out of there. If that was me, I turned around and I'm getting a photo op with Lance Henriksen and Kane Hodder wants to crash in the back. Yeah, sure. Hop on in, Pumpkinhead and Jason. Yeah, let's go.
Like, go right ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, this guy wants to jump in my picture with me. Ooh, what a dick. So you can see him as soon as the photo op is done. He's asking me, he's like, yeah, like you can see them. Can't hear him talking, but you can see him. He's like super animated and he's like really excited. Lance turns, looks at me, points, and just goes, just nods. It's like, yes. I'm like, all right, we can leave now. And Ash was like, we got here 15 minutes ago. I'm like, doesn't matter. Con's not going to get any better for me.
I love Lance.
Oh, he was great. He was so good.
Let's get back to the list.
All right, so that was my number 5. So it's your turn for 5.
And my number 5 continues a very disturbing trend of disturbing films. And I'm talking about Danny and Michael Philippou's latest film, Bring Her Back. Now, this is their follow-up to Talk to Me. This was very different from Talk to Me. And I was happy that this was a very different film from Talk to Me. Because literally, Bring Her Back is just bonkers. Literally. There's a lot of twists in this film, especially at that last third of that film, literally. There were some moments where my jaw dropped. Seriously. Especially when the brother gets killed, spoiler alert, right before near the end of the film. I was thinking he was going to be the hero of the film. If you go by playing by the formula of horror, he would be the hero because he had some redemption story that he was going to have his redemption at the end of the film. I was shocked that it did not happen in this film, and he got killed off right before the end of this film when Sally Hawkins' character takes him and another lady out at the same time. It had some intense, gruesome moments, including that last half hour of the film, because it was so unpredictable. Like I said about that kid dying, I did not expect that to happen that soon. And that girl being left alone to fend for herself. I did not expect that at all.
I was going to say, that's the one I haven't seen yet.
But it just was so disturbing and gruesome. And Sally Hawkins gives a great performance. In fact,
always
one of the 3 or 4 best horror performances of the year, in my opinion.
That's impressive because I think my number 4 is going to have one of the best performances.
And that's why I had Bring Her Back at number 5. As Danny and Michael Philippou are definitely 2 directors you should be keeping an eye out on, as they've done two great films so far. Your number 4?
Number 4 is an adaptation of one of the first science fiction books ever written. I'm talking, of course, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Now, as soon as I heard Guillermo del Toro and Frankenstein, I'm in. I don't care if it was a musical. I don't care if it was a kid's film. His creature design and his insistence on practical effects, I'm in. I'm in. And speaking of great performances in a horror movie, Jacob Elordi as the creature. Just, my only problem, the only issue with this movie is that there is a scene, and it's a famous scene from the book, where he befriends the old man, the blind old man, and you might remember the scene from Young Frankenstein as Gene Hackman. Where are you going? I was going to make espresso. But in this case, it's David Bradley, who you might recognize from Hot Fuzz, Game of Thrones, and Harry Potter. And the creature is reading Ozymandias. Why is that a big deal? Well, if Ozymandias exists, that means it was written by Mary Shelley's husband, which means the story of Frankenstein would be a true story, because she wrote that as a science fiction story when she was 18. I believe Ozymandias was published like 2 years later, which means that Percy Shelley and Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley exist in the same world as her fictional creation of Victor Frankenstein and his creation. That's it. That's really my only gripe and complaint about the movie. It would be like if Harry Potter was reading one of the Harry Potter books. It's that type of thing. You know, like in First Blood, or we'll do it this way. In Die Hard, John McClane's on the airplane reading Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe, which is the story upon which Die Hard is based. So that's kind of what that's like. So that was my only problem. Otherwise, I loved it. I loved the little bits of changes that they made to the story by making him functionally immortal and giving him like beyond superhuman strength. Like his strength was a little wonky. It's like, oh, I can lift a man up and throw him. Also, I can move a several 100-ton boat while standing on ice. It's like that. Like it turned into a little bit of a superhero thing at the end. Oh, I'm immortal and I can push this boat. Like you can't push a boat. You can't. You can't push a boat, even more so when it's stuck in ice. So like Frankenstein's creature always has above average strength, but it's never like, hey, I'm as strong as the Hulk. Like that's a little different. But other than that, I thought the movie was phenomenal. I loved it. It's number 4. It was hard to put it, like, again, it was hard to kind of rank these top 5 because they were all really good. I just had to put a ranking on them, so I just threw a ranking on them. What's number 5 for you, bud?
Actually, I'm on number 4.
4, sorry, my bad. I don't know how to count anymore.
My number 4 is 28 Years Later. This is a film that would have been number 1 on my list if it wasn't for the fact that the last third of the month, movies coming out that took that film over, literally. And and I'll talk about this more later because I'm really looking forward to The Bone Temple. This was a great film. It's a return to form for Danny Boyle. What I liked about this film compared to the first 28 films was the fact that this felt like a tale of two stories, which was different. In the first 28 films, you had like one central story. In this one, you felt like you had two stories. First half of the film with the kid and his rite of passage with his father. And the second half of the story, the kid trying to go cross country with his mother to find that doctor to cure his mother. I thought both of those subplots were very good in this film. Both had very intense moments. I know a lot of people got very disturbed about the naked zombies. I don't get why. It's different. But anyway, I loved how this film ends on a cliffhanger with Jack O'Donnell showing up, and everything just goes batshit, literally. Really leading up to the next film, which I really can't wait to watch. Hopefully, I can watch it sometime soon. It's currently out as we're recording this, so I'm definitely going to be rushing out to that. And I'm hearing that's getting really good reviews. But anyway, 28 Years Later was a great film, and that's why I chose that as my number 4.
It's a solid show. I haven't seen those two yet. I got to check them out. All right, so number 3. My number 3. This one, the lead actor in this one has been getting a lot of accolades, just won an award. I would hate to be an actor going up against this particular actor. It's like, oh man, I got nominated for, one of these awards, Golden Globes or Saturn Awards or one of these other prestigious awards. It's like, man, I got nominated for this award and I'm going to lose to Indy the dog. My number 3 is Good Boy. I really liked this and it took me a little bit to kind of figure out exactly what I was seeing, because it is a supernatural horror film, if only because you have to see it the way it's being presented, through the eyes of this dog. It's no different from any other horror film, except it's not really a horror film. It's a
more psychological.
Well, the dog doesn't understand that his owner is dying of cancer. So whenever the dog sees like a weird behavior or a weird smell or a weird whatever, it's not a monster that's coming to kill someone. It's not a supernatural force. It's his owner is dying of a disease. But this is the way that the dog perceives it. And the dog does a fantastic job. Like, don't get me wrong, the dog deserves all the awards that he's getting. But when you watch it the first time, it can be a little confusing because you're like, what exactly am I seeing? Why is it that he is seeing this particular thing? But you also have to remember that dogs tend to have different senses. Like how often do people talk about seeing their dog staring off into a corner and just growling at what the human sees as an empty space? What is it that the dog is seeing or sensing? There are dogs that are trained to sniff out cancer. There are dogs that are trained to sniff out. They use them as companion animals, where it's like the dog can sense when you're about to have a seizure. The dog can sense when your heart rate is up and will get you to sit down, or will go fetch your medication and bring it to you while you're having an episode. Like dogs are so incredible when it comes to what it is that they're able to do as a companion animal. Or I don't like to think of it as a service animal. I mean, I know that's what it is, but very rarely will you find someone that has that type of a relationship with an animal and then they're just like, yeah, whatever, it's my service animal. Treat it like a coworker. It's like, yeah, that's Gus. I work with him at the post office. Like no one thinks about their service animals that way. So that's where I'm at with that. It's a super short film. Does have horror legend Larry Fessenden in it. So there is that. But I recommend it. I think everyone should see it. And I'm sorry, Ethan Hawke, that you lost an award to a dog.
I was surprised when he won the award.
I wasn't. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a very good film. I didn't think they would go that way.
Yeah, but he is a good boy.
True. Okay, my number 3 is the other documentary on the list. Now, you wrote it down. Can you show it to me? Damn, you're right. You are so right. Are you surprised that this is very high on my list?
Not at all. It's a documentary for the greatest horror movie of all time. If, arguably.
We're talking about Chain Reactions. And literally, I never put a horror documentary this high on my list. But this was a special documentary. And one of the things that I loved about this documentary was the way the documentary was structured. You had 5 interviews, and that's it. You don't have this clip and paste. One person says one thing, and then another says another thing. Like a traditional documentary. This did not feel like a traditional documentary at all. That's one of the things I loved about this documentary. The fact that it really went into each of the person's love of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And you just don't see that in documentaries. You're just seeing 10 million people talk over each other. You know how the regular documentary format goes.
Yes.
But this was but what really drew me to this film, I'll get you who else is involved, was the fact that Stephen King was involved in this film. That alone got me to the Dark Sky Films website and brought the Blu-ray for it.
Yeah, this seems like one I should pick up.
And it was like the 3-disc version with 10 million versions of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the other 2 discs. You have at least 4 or 5. I know they have the Wizard video version of it. I think they may have a couple foreign versions of it. Or I think in its original VHS ratio, too.
Ooh. Yeah, the only copy of Texas Chainsaw that I have is a steelbook signed by Gunnar Hansen.
Man, I wish that guy was alive. And there was another Texas Chainsaw documentary out this year too. Dinner with Leatherface, a Gunnar Hansen documentary.
Interesting.
That was out on DVD through Anchor Bay. It was a great year for documentaries. I saw like 4 or 5 of them.
Sounds it.
Yeah, Spooktacular was very good. I mentioned George A. Romero's Resident Evil. Now back to Chain Reactions. This documentary features interviews from Patton Oswalt, Takahashi Mike, Alexandra Helen Nicholas, of course, mentioned Stephen King, and Karen Kusama, the woman who directed Jennifer's Body.
Oh, Takashi Miike did Audition, and he had that cameo in Hostel.
That's amazing to get 2 legends in that documentary of that caliber to talk about their personal experiences and how that film has shaped them as a filmmaker or a writer or a fan. I love those 5 different perspectives that really made this documentary truly special, and probably the best documentary on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in my opinion.
I'm definitely going to have to check that out. Like that, when I had just heard about it like a week ago. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to check this out. This is one of my favorite horror movies. And it's like just the story behind it. Like I was listening to a breakdown from the heavy spoilers channel the other day on YouTube. And it's like an hour and 20 minutes long. And it's breaking down like what they went through and like how they had to wear the same clothes for a month. Like they couldn't wash the clothes because they couldn't buy new clothes. And like just the smell alone from that dinner scene. John Dugan said the dinner scene was worse than anything he went through in Vietnam.
And I was kind of happy that this film did not have anything to do with the filmmaking of this film.
Interesting. So it's just basically people talking about how it impacted them and affected them?
Yeah, those 5 people. There are only 5 people in this film that are interviewed. There's no cast members in this film interviewed. That's what made it so great. You're getting 5 opinions of how that film shaped their lives and their fandom for horror or got them to direct.
I love it.
As definitely Takahashi Mike and Stephen King were the most interesting stories of the 5. And I also say maybe Patton Oswalt as well were. In fact, all of them were all interesting stories because there are different perspectives to why this film holds a special place in their heart.
I like it.
And that's what I loved about this film. You didn't have to deal with the politics or the 90 million facts about the film. It's just fans of the film talking about why the Texas Chainsaw Massacre has influenced them, whether as a fan or professionally. And that's why it's my number 3 film.
Well, that brings us to our top 2. So my number 2 was one that I watched at the very end of it was actually the first movie I watched this year. I watched it shortly after midnight, New Year's Day. And that's it kind of ties into your other documentary you watched, because this is Queens of the Dead, directed by Tina Romero, George's daughter. This one combines 2 of my favorite things, zombies and drag queens. This was such a good movie. Like, you had solid zombie stuff, solid zombie kills, combined with the drama of drag queen competitions. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Like, I watch a lot of if folks aren't familiar with drag and horror, then they may not be familiar with Dragula, but if you have Shudder, I highly recommend watching Dragula. It's a drag competition, but they focus on horror, filth, and glamour in their looks. So you need to create looks that embody those things. And they have special guest judges like Bonnie Aarons, who played the nun, David Dastmalchian, people who are, Jennifer Tilly is there a lot, people who are very much in the horror zeitgeist. I love the fact that they're able to take drag and horror and put it together and make it work without being offensive or pandering. It's just, and there are homages to things like that, you know, somebody gets caught in a window trying to close a window. So there's a little bit of, I know it's not a Romero film, but Return of the Living Dead. There's a lot of really fun stuff and some recognizable faces as well in this, including Margaret Cho, who gets eaten by zombie rats, which is, the whole thing is a lot of fun. So that's my number 2, Queens of the Dead. And fun fact, I learned this because I like to watch the credits sometimes, and the first assistant director is Achille Vanderhagen, who I know that's not a name that everybody knows. But he also was the first AD on a movie I did called High Tide, in which I got to work with Marissa Tomei. So just throwing that out there. Shameless plug.
Well, I think we might have the same number one film.
Okay.
I think. Because
it's entirely possible. What's your number two?
Because it's not the film you thought was going to be my number one going into this, which was Weapons. I kept saying that's probably going to be my number one film, unless something drastic happens. But I think we both might have the same number one.
Okay.
Because Weapons is 2. And one of the things I liked about Weapons was Zach Cregger's direction. I love the fact that he does a great job with the way he keeps the action moving in this film. I like the fact that he tells the story through like 7, 8 characters. I know you have a problem with the little girl as the narrator. Maybe she's an unreliable narrator. That could have
Maybe she's a liar.
Or an unreliable narrator. Sometimes you can have those in films. Someone who's unreliable. But anyway, Cregger does a great job making all the aspects of a horror movie work. Whether it's having the main characters interact with each other in each segment in a way that it keeps the action movie, to the way that Cregger handles the action that makes it an entertaining film. I like the fact that this has like a 360 feel to it in the story department, which makes it very original, which I like a lot. This film has really good performances by Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, Amy Madigan, and I really think Amy
was amazing.
I think Amy Madigan's going to get nominated for an Oscar nomination for this.
She should.
Because she was just that great in that film.
Yes.
Because if you take that performance out, it's a totally different film. Then you
She
really
was
have
phenomenal.
That character be more of a downer character, if you know what I mean.
And I like when actors can show a bit of range. Julia Garner in this compared to Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four, totally different. I love the fact that she has range. Loved it.
Yeah. And I even liked her in The Wolfman, even though that was a bad film.
I didn't see that one yet.
It wasn't the actor's fault. It was a bad script.
Yeah.
Then again, Blumhouse Productions had a really bad year until the last 2 films of the year. With
That's
the Black
fair.
Phone 2 and 5 Nights at Freddy 2. Everything else was a failure for them this year. But that's
Right,
Weapons at number 2. It's a great film. Definitely check it out. It's very out there. It has a very bonkers ending. And it could be classified as disturbing too, in bonkers at the same time. Now, I think
obviously we have very different opinions on that film.
Yeah, we do. You don't like that child narrator. Maybe you should put that child narrator.
Like.
Maybe you should have that child narrate your next film.
Yeah. I think I just don't like Cregger's stuff because I didn't like Barbarian either. But I know we're up against it, so I'm not going to get into my.
Yeah, let's not get into that. We're getting up against.
We have a whole section we have to do still.
Yes.
So
now I think we both have the same film, but let me see if I'm right.
All right, my number one was a film that I thought was absolutely phenomenal. When I saw the trailer for it, I was super stoked, but I was also super stoked to see Weapons. My number one film of 2025 for horror was Sinners.
That's mine too.
Bam! See, I knew you had good taste eventually.
I told you the only thing that probably could dethrone Weapons was Sinners.
Oh.
And that film screamed Oscar bait throughout the entire film. When you have a film that screams Oscar bait, it's pretty much a great film.
It was done so well. And Michael B. Jordan did such a great job in the dual roles of Smoke and Stack. Yeah, no, I was a big fan. I loved the ending. I loved the mid-credit scene. The music. Oh my God, that one scene where he's playing in the juke joint, and it's just, Plus, I'm a big Delroy Lindo fan. Give me Delroy Lindo in anything. I loved him in The Core. Like, Delroy Lindo is a badass character actor.
Yeah, that mid-credit scene, probably one of the best mid-credit scenes I've ever seen.
It was phenomenal.
It had, I think, a blues legend.
Yes.
As the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pinpoint the name, but I know he was a blues legend by doing research.
Yes.
But I like the fact you had, even though you had that attention there in that mid-credit scene, you're happy nothing happened. I love how they included that in that mid-credit scene. Oh, something's going to happen. I fear something's going to happen here.
Yeah, it was definitely tense.
Yeah. Then we find out he makes this deal with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Sinners was just such a great film. It goes beyond the prerequisites of a great vampire film.
Yeah, it's not just a great vampire film. It's a great film.
It's a great period piece film.
It's a fantastic musical.
Yeah, whoever thought that? That was bonkers too.
All of it. Everybody was excellent. The characters as they got built up, like there's a lot of tension. It's like
Michael B. Jordan was great. Miles Coulter, I think the new guy who is the Jordan's running buddy with whose father was the priest. Yeah, Coulter, I think.
I think Coulter? So. Let me just pull this up real fast. Miles Caton.
Yeah, sorry about that.
And Jack O'Connell.
Jack O'Connell, obviously, I'm going to mention him. He's great in this.
I was unfamiliar with him before this.
Oh, I saw him in 20. I was surprised. It took me a little bit to realize, oh, yeah, he was in 28 Years Later. At the end of the film. That's the head Jimmy.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's like
I wasn't familiar.
It took me a little while to realize. Oh yeah, he was in that. He was in the end of 28 Years Later. No wonder why he could play a good sadistic villain. You seeing 5 minutes of 28 Years Later, he could do it literally.
That's one I got to watch. I haven't seen it yet.
Haley Stanford also was very good in it. Delroy Lindo was very good in it.
Again,
everybody was very good in this film.
Yeah, there was no weak link.
And I was shocked that this did gangbusters at the box office, literally. Because this is a very ambitious film. And for a studio like Warner Brothers, I was surprised that they went with this ambitious plan of Ryan Coogler, who did a great job as director of this film.
You put Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan together, gold.
Yeah, you can throw any types of money. It'll make its money back and then some.
Yeah, Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther.
I didn't think a big budget vampire film would make big money at the box office. I was wrong.
It's a well-done film. It's a well-done film.
And apparently it was made for Oscar voters.
I mean,
that's what I think helped it. I'm here for it too. If you want to make a horror film for Oscar votes, go right ahead.
Yeah, we're overdue as horror fans. We're overdue.
Yeah, and the vampire genre does not get enough attention. Seriously.
I mean, we had Nosferatu, and we had
it's amazing. Renfield. 2 years in a row.
And Renfield.
And I don't know about Renfield, even though Nicolas Cage is great in it.
Oh, Nicolas Cage is great in everything, and we're going to talk a little bit about Nicolas Cage in our next segment there.
So, definitely, Sinners is a great.
I can go through this quick.
So why don't
Yes.
we move on to what we're looking forward to in 2026?
All right, so I'll just go through this because obviously I haven't seen any of these, so I can't really make a whole lot of comment. But I have my three honorable mentions. Monarch: Legacy of Monsters as TV. I loved the first season. I love the fact that Wyatt Russell plays the younger version of Kurt Russell's character. That's fantastic. I fucking love it. That's spot on casting, no notes. Resident Evil 9. If you're a big video game person and you love survival horror, I do. I've loved the last 3 versions of Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 7, and now this one, Requiem. It's going to be amazing. I loved the remake or remaster of Resident Evil 4, which is still the best game in my opinion. And something that's coming out later this year. It's not specifically horror, but there's a lot of blood and guts involved. Marvel's Wolverine. You get to just go nuts as Wolverine and just chop the shit out of everything in your path.
Yeah, I guess you can consider it horror because you can chop everybody.
So as far as movies go, there's a bunch that I'm really looking forward to. One that I'm looking forward to, kind of like, Greenland 2, which there's no reason there should have been a sequel to Greenland. It's essentially like it's Gerard Butler's second super big budget natural disaster movie, along with Geostorm. Like, these are movies that should have been produced by Sci-Fi, but they have massive budgets and Gerard Butler. So Greenland 2.
I think Lionsgate is getting them cheap, so that's why.
Yeah, but you've still got to spend $100 million on this movie that's not going to make $100 million.
I don't think so for the producers, but for, say, Lionsgate, I think they may spend, I heard, around $10 million. Ooh, they might be able to make that.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Because I don't know if we needed a Greenland 2.
So the Nicolas Cage thing I was talking about, I am a Las Vegas Raiders fan. I've been a Raiders fan for coming up on 40 years now. So I'm excited to see Nicolas Cage, who is my favorite actor, play John Madden in the Madden movie alongside Christian Bale as Al Davis. I don't know anything about the plot, but I don't care. I will see this movie. I know it's not horror, but yeah, I will see this movie.
I was going to say.
Another couple of sequels that I really am looking forward to. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. I didn't think that needed a sequel, but let's see what this one entails. I have no idea what's going on. I haven't seen a trailer or read a synopsis.
I saw a trailer. It's very good.
Okay.
It looks like it's going to be very good.
Loved the first one. I thought it was
it looks like it's going to be very good.
The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy 4 movie is supposed to be coming out this year.
I think it's Lee Cronin's Mummy.
It might be somebody else. All right, so that might be. But Violent Night 2, David Harbour's got to do something now that Stranger Things is over, so might as well just continue his brutal Santa Claus films. But the sequel that I am looking forward to more than anything else,
Godzilla
-0. Oh,
I knew you were going to say that.
That's the number one sequel I'm looking forward to, and I'm saying that as a sequel because I don't want to downplay the movie that I've been looking forward to.
Godzilla -0, I think it's called.
Yep, because they have a deal with Toho where Toho and Legendary can't release a film the same year, and Godzilla Kong Supernova is scheduled to come out next year. So either they released -0 this year or wait till 28. So
they can release it this year. Please,
so we just
release
get Godzilla
it this year.
movies every year. Make me happy.
I don't, because next year will be probably a bad one.
It'll be a more fun one because I don't like -1 was not a fun movie. That was a dark...
I'd rather have the non-fun movies.
I like them both. Give me all the Godzilla all the time. That's my thoughts. But the number one movie I'm looking forward to is an adaptation from Andy Weir, Project Hail Mary. Now, if you're not familiar with Andy Weir, you might be without knowing it. Andy Weir wrote the book The Martian, which was adapted by Ridley Scott, starring Matt Damon. I highly recommend reading the book because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the book that the movie can't do, and a lot of stuff the movie can do that the book can't. Like, trying to imagine the Martian landscape, you're able to see that in the film. You're able to see like the vast distances and the mountains and the storms and how cool that looks. But you don't get Mark Watney's inner monologue. When they first realize he's alive, and in the book that, like, I wonder what he's thinking. And he's like, oh, I hope they still make that shampoo that I like, or whatever. Like, it's random shit. But Project Hail Mary is starring Ryan Gosling. And I implore you not to watch a trailer. I watched a trailer, and a huge spoiler is in the trailer. Do not watch the trailer for Project Hail Mary. The basic plot of this movie is there is this weird astrophage, and what it is doing, it is collecting around the Earth, and it is causing massive greenhouse effect and like intense global warming, to the point where trying to cool the planet down, we nuke Antarctica and dump all that ice into the ocean to try and cool the planet down, and it still doesn't work. So Project Hail Mary is they have to track these astrophages back to where they come from and stop them at their source. And what Andy Weir does is he makes the science of all this accessible to a casual reader. Like, I don't know if you're super advanced in astrophysics and, rocket science, but he tells you what's going on and then like uses a metaphor or an analogy to kind of explain how it's going to work. It's glorious. And the story is so good, and there's so much tension. And again, do not watch the trailer. Do not watch any trailer. Go into this with just that information. That's and then I'm also looking forward to Send Help, The Bride, Apex, Clayface, and Disclosure Day.
Okay, quickly, films I'm looking forward to seeing this year, that I'm looking forward to the most. Of course, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which I'm really looking forward to, because I'm hearing great things about that film. Robert Eggers' Werewolf, towards the end of the year. Godzilla Minus Zero, you just mentioned. Ready or Not, Here I Come, a.k.a. Ready or Not 2. And Ice Nine Kills movie project, which I will not mention the title because it might anger some people. Seriously, it might anger some people. So just search Ice Nine Kills movie. You'll find out what the title of the film is. So, PJ, it was very nice having you back on the show.
This was great. I loved it, and I'm glad we got to talk movies for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, almost 2 hours. Well, it's nice having you on again.
Well, thank you for having me. I love being on your show.
And don't forget to check out his podcast, Throwdown Thursday.
Yes.
Well, have a good day.
You too, buddy. Take care.
If you want to find out the latest news for Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show, you can follow the podcast on the Slasher app, Facebook, and Instagram at Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling. You can also listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, DocDiscussions.com, and the Film IK Media YouTube channel at youtube.com/FilmIKMedia. Welcome back. Well, this wraps up this episode. There'll be no film review as this has been a long episode. Next episode, I will have my thoughts on the entire Scream franchise. I will probably go into a review of Scream 7 in the middle of that topic. So you will get my thoughts on Scream 7 in the next episode of the podcast. Also next episode, you'll get my review of The Mutilator 2, which was supposed to be last episode, but apparently when I caught it too late, it was you could barely hear the review. So I fixed the file. So that's definitely a go for next episode. So I will definitely be airing that. We got 2 things. We'll have news. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope to get more episodes out this year and try not to be as stagnant as last year. So with that, don't forget to subscribe to my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora. Just search Anthony T's Horror Show or Anthony T's Horror Wrestling Show. That will also work as well. You can keep up to date with the podcast at Facebook and Instagram at Anthony T's Horror Show. With that, I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. Have a good day and support indie horror. This has been a Film Arcade Media production.